Now, Sports Talk with Broads. Here's Hunter Brody.
The Wells Fargo Center was literally absurd tonight. I try to go to about 5 games a year or so, around that. Tonight was my first time heading down to the center this season. It was electric. I remember going during the process years. That's right, I used to actually attend those games. The tickets on SeatGeek were going for $1 to $5. Why would I not go down just to watch basketball, right? And now when I'm sitting in the stands, I can't help but smile because you're seeing the flames go up in the air during the introductions, the hype video being played, Joel Embiid getting a standing ovation, Ben Simmons, the roars of excitement when he gets called out. It has changed so much, and I know this team is frustrating. I get it, I understand, but thinking about where we were and where we are now, it's night and day, and we have a roster that is built to legitimately contend. It's just insane where we are now, and I had goosebumps. I have goosebumps sitting in my seat watching them run out onto the court with 20,000 screaming fans going nuts. Now, I mentioned how I would spend money going to the Process Sixers games. There wasn't a SeatGeek code back then, but there is now, and that's all that matters. You can use the SeatGeek promo code BROADS when purchasing tickets for $20 off. So you can use that code, you can go to the game, and you can use the money that you save on parking, on food, on beer. It's a no-brainer. Use the promo code BROADS today. Now, it's hard for me not to bring up Ben Simmons first. I know Joel Embiid was a stud with 32 and 11. I get that he was fantastic at the free throw line, going 15 of 15 and changing the game completely. But Ben Simmons made late game-changing defensive plays that really gets me going. I haven't stopped thinking about it since I left the arena. I haven't stopped thinking about it since I got home from the arena. It's still in my mind right now. The dude is at the top of the NBA in defense. I know we freak out about his offensive game. I know that we want him to shoot jumpers so badly. But when you look at his D and how willing he is and how determined he is to defend every single possession down the floor, and especially late, he has leadership qualities when it comes to how he approaches the game late, in the tough moments, down the stretch, in the fourth quarter, when everything matters. He has leadership qualities in those moments. He is so willing. Not everyone is. He is. And he is at the top of the league when it comes to defense. You can argue right now he should be discussed for Defensive Player of the Year. It's that solid. This is now back-to-back games where he steals an inbound to essentially win the game. He had 3 steals in 13.9 seconds. He had the steal where he intercepted Warren's pass, which led to Tobias Harris having a slam dunk with 9.9 seconds left. And I'm not kidding. That was my reaction. Going nuts, high-fiving the people next to me, people I don't even know, going crazy. The place was dynamite in that moment. But Ben wasn't finished. He stole the ball out of the inbound play, which led to Tobias Harris getting fouled, and oh, by the way, he drained both. And then Ben stole the ball with a half-court heave for the Pacers to essentially throw a Hail Mary. But my point is, he was so good. And he was the reason why, one of the reasons why, the team came out on top. Let's get to his offensive side. So he went 4 of 13 from the field. That looks ugly, but what I like about it is he shot 13 times. So far this season, offensively, Ben will finish a game with 6 field goal attempts, 5 field goal attempts, 7 field goal attempts, 13 field goal attempts is something we need to see out of Ben. He was okay with attacking the rim and getting fouled. Why? Because he was actually hitting his free throws. 100% from the free throw line. And it wasn't as if he only had 1 or 2. He had 7. And he hasn't had that much success in one game in his career before. And this is coming off of a performance where he went 5 of 10. Now, 10 times I appreciate, but you got to hit more than 5. I don't expect him to hit 100% all the time like he did in this game, but he needs to be better than 50%. And 7 of 7 is a step in the right direction. Hopefully it switches his confidence so he can realize, hey, I can make these free throws. But the 13 field goal attempts is what stands out to me offensively. He did take 2 jump shots as well. Now, they weren't jump shots where he's facing the basket and squared up. They're the fadeaways, but one looked ugly, one wasn't as smooth. But his mentality is to take the jump shots. They're not forced at the end of the buzzer, hey, I'm just going to do this thing. In that possession, he knew he was going to shoot it. And that's what we need him to do. Sadly, it's just taking longer than we want it to. But all around, Ben Simmons comes to me first when I think of this game. Even though Joel Embiid had the big statistical numbers and the dominance and put guys into foul trouble, what Ben did late was remarkable. Leadership. Really, to that extent. Leadership. He's willing to put everything on the line late to make any play that he needs to fight through any hard screens. He's so into getting that ball and making that play. It's impressive. After the first quarter in this game, things got ugly in the second quarter. So the Sixers scored 38 in the first quarter. They were explosive. They were knocking down shots. But the second quarter, it was almost the complete opposite. Sloppy turnovers. Furkan Korkmaz getting absolutely destroyed defensively. Abused, obliterated. And it was 65-65 at half. The game was on a seesaw, though. Essentially all game. Shout out to Mark Zumoff. I know that's one of his phrases. It was essentially on the seesaw. So many lead changes, so many tied games. It was 2 good teams in this league going back and forth and battling. Who was going to make the play last? Who was going to step up? At the end of the day, it was the Sixers. But the second half, after the brutal second quarter, it was just 2 good teams going back and forth. Let's get to Embiid. He now realizes, I think, how important getting to the free throw line is, forcing teams to foul him, and things of that nature. He had the 0-point performance, the 0-point game, and ever since then, getting fouled, scoring points, being determined. Here's the difference, though. Marc Gasol is not on the New York Knicks. He's not on the Indiana Pacers, right? Someone as savvy as Marc Gasol isn't going up against him in these games. Now, that's not his fault. He's playing who's on the schedule, and that's fair, and he's dominating them, so that's all you can really ask for. But I want to see him have this mindset against the top teams in the league. The Pacers are a good team. When you look at the Eastern Conference, the Bucks, the Raptors, the Celtics, the Sixers, they're in a different class. And then you have, I would say, the Pacers and the Miami Heat type teams that are playoff teams, but they're not legit contenders to come out of the East. And then the 7th, 8th seed are probably under 500 squads that just get in there. So I think what I'm getting at here is Joel Embiid has this mindset against these teams, and it works. Let me get fouled. Let me go to the free throw line. Let me put their top dogs in foul trouble. Sabonis was in foul trouble, and he essentially ended up getting fouled out of the game, which was huge. Miles Turner also in foul trouble at one point, getting some costly fouls throughout the game. I want to see him do that against legit top dog centers. There's this narrative out there that Joel Embiid doesn't put his back to the basket enough and doesn't post up enough because he's so far out and always on the perimeter. There are stats from the NBA that show and that tells everybody out there Joel Embiid leads the league with posting up and having his back to the basket. I'm just giving you statistics. I'm giving you facts. He leads the league in posting up. Now, what the NBA determines posting up, I don't have that information. But whatever they use, he's doing it. So the narrative that he spends all this time outside and all he does is pop threes, it's not real. It's just not the truth. With that being said, there was one possession that bothered me so much in the fourth quarter. Embiid ended up taking a corner three in crucial moments. There was no reason. There was absolutely no reason. He dominated down low all game long. For him to pop a corner three, I really despise that. There was also a moment from Tobias Harris where the Sixers had the lead. The clock was ticking. They finally got the ball back after making a stop, and he runs full speed down the floor and tries to make a layup. Like, dude, kill clock, right? Slow things down. That's basketball 101. I had no clue what he was doing in that moment. Those two possessions late really irked me, but at the end of the day, the Sixers made enough plays. Ben Simmons stepped up defensively and really helped this team make up for those two errors in crunch time. I want to talk about Furkan Korkmaz. He had 12 points. He went 3 of 7 from 3. His defense, though, is an issue. It's as clear as day. It is an issue. Teams are going up 1-on-1 against him, torching him, scoring. He can't hang defensively. Now, it's ironic that he made a couple nice plays defensively in the first quarter, but as the game went on, it did not last, and the other team took advantage. You can't compare Furkan Korkmaz to J.J. Redick because J.J. Redick with the Sixers shot over 40% from 3, averaged 18 points per game. He is a sharp shooter, a legit sharp shooter who is at the top of the NBA when it comes to shooting the basketball. He's not athletic. He can't defend. So obviously his shooting is good enough to keep him around and for him to be successful in this league. Furkan Korkmaz is not that. He's not that. He's not J.J. Redick. He doesn't shoot to that degree. He's not that nasty. So his defensive woes is a problem. My point is his offense isn't good enough to outweigh how poor he is defensively. He's not at that level. And you saw Brett Brown go with James Ennis later in the basketball game because it's completely different. I thought defensively, Furkan Korkmaz changed the game negatively for the Sixers. It was that noticeable to me how badly he was getting destroyed. And obviously, Brett Brown saw the same thing because that's why James Ennis played later. And James Ennis, he's been special, really, for his role, okay? He's not giving you 32 and 11 like Joel Embiid every night. But for his role, he's been special. I thought he always played better than what he really was last season in the playoffs. But he's playing that way, if not even better, right now. If he can play this way consistently, that's beautiful. That's beautiful off the bench. We need Mike Scott to figure it out off the bench. Josh Richardson coming back in the lineup will push everyone down, so maybe that will help out the bench production. But we need more out of Mike Scott. I want more out of Matisse Thybulle in his 20 minutes that he provided. Like, I want more out of him. If Furkan comes off the bench for 10 minutes, 12 minutes, I will be okay with that. I can't process him playing 25 minutes in a basketball game. Anywhere in the 20s. I just can't. And I know Josh Richardson out plays a factor, but even when Josh Richardson's in, Furky gets that much. And then I can't process it. I know he stretches the floor, and that's the theory. He stretches the floor. And early on, I understood it. But now that you see how abysmal he is defensively, it's not working. It's not working. You'll see the 12 points. You'll see the 3 threes. And I think that's a little faulty. Now, his plus minus wasn't anything insanely horrendous. He was -5. It wasn't as if he was -22. But I think his defensive issues are that much of a problem. To me, that's how I see it. The Sixers forced the Pacers to turn the ball over 20 times. That's normally what the Sixers do. They normally turn it over 20 times. The Sixers only turn it over themselves 14. It's crazy how you win a basketball game like that when the other team turns the ball over more. We've never really been on that side because we're always throwing it all over the place. And in times in this game, it looked like that. But they found the way. Al Horford gave you an Al Horford type game. 3 threes, 2 steals, a block, 15 points. Let's get to Tobias Harris. The narrative with Tobias early on was he can't get going with Joel Embiid on the floor. Well, he had 22 points. He was great late. Fourth quarter, he was aggressive. And we all know in the fourth quarter, Joel Embiid wants the ball in his hands. So with those two on the floor, Tobias Harris stepped up. And I think he's starting to create his identity on this team. It's different playing with Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid is the superstar. He gets the ball late. He gets the touches. He's the go-to guy. Well, Tobias has to find his own identity when playing with someone that good, playing with someone that demanding when it comes to the ball. You're starting to see what he can be with Embiid on the floor. 22 points, he was spectacular. He was in that mindset of, I'm going to go to the rack. I'm going to make a play. I'm going to get there. The whole team was. And that's why you see this team consistently going to the free throw line. There were games, and I hope that there are not any in the future, but there probably will be, where the Sixers go to the line 7 times throughout 48 minutes as a team. 8 times. That's unacceptable. This team thrives and thrived early on when we went on that 5-game winning streak to start the season with being a bully ball type team. Grinding down low, earning the points hard, putting teams in foul trouble, using our length to our advantage. And it seems as if the Sixers got away from that for a bit, and now they're starting to realize that's what they need to do. Now, I'm bothered that Josh Richardson did not play again. Now, I know he's really actually hurt. Not really hurt as in severe, but really hurt as in it's not load management. There's actually something wrong. But this team has not played over 10 games with their starting 5. Their legit starting 5. It irritates me. I want them to all play. I want them to all gel. It's important. I want to tell you this story, though. There was this family who was sitting above me, and they were obnoxious, cheering, going crazy, and I love that stuff. Are you serious? I loved it. The mother was going nuts. It was awesome. I really did enjoy it. With like 5 minutes to go, in a tied basketball game, she walks down and says, "Come on, guys, we're leaving." I'm sorry, what? Now? Right now? This is the time you're leaving? 5 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter in a tied basketball game? How is that the time you make the decision to leave? It's not a 30-point game. It's not a 25-point game. No. It's a tied game in the fourth quarter, and it was a really good game. Great action, entertaining. That's when you want to leave. What? To beat the traffic? Don't even give me that. I live in South Jersey, about 20 minutes from the stadium. It took me 22 minutes to get home. Don't give me that crap. I couldn't believe it. Something else I couldn't believe, really, was the referee. Toby with that 3-point foul call late. Joel Embiid gets a foul called against him on Sabonis defensively late. Now, the basketball gods were in the Sixers' favor because they made the call right on the other side when Sabonis ended up actually fouling out. But still, the refs, bad game in my opinion. Not their best. Definitely not their best. The Embiid foul early, which brought them to the free throw line. The flagrant, what a joke. What a joke. But what I'm happy about is the Sixers win. The Sixers win. It wasn't beautiful, but they played a good team in this league, a playoff team. Not in the legit contender category, but right underneath of that. They made plays late. After even making some mistakes in the fourth quarter, they made plays late. They made their free throws, which this team has struggled making free throws. So they made their free throws. They got the free points. You got to be proud of this one. Ben, Joel, Tobias, they really stepped up. Al contributed the way that he does. I can't wait to see this team play full throttle, though. Full throttle. Let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time.